Welcome back, you beautiful disaster enthusiasts, to another episode of The Shit Show, Mike's Edition. We're diving deep into May 2025, a month that packed more punch than a Chicago deep dish. From aquatic wonders to modern art, celestial journeys to my very own first flight out of O'Hare, and then the bittersweet drive back with mom in a car full of life, we've got city adventures, first time jitters, and those tough goodbyes that remind you nothing in life is owed to you. You gotta make your own path. So let's dive in a little deep. Let's start with what all happened this month, and we're going to break it down bit by bit. So we're going to start with the Chicago extravaganza. Or, as I like to call it, Chi-Town Chronicles, from deep sea to deep space. The Shed Aquarium was almost exactly what you would expect from a normal aquarium. The only difference that I can definitely say that the Shed Aquarium brought to the table that the Atlanta Aquarium definitely left out was the peaceful feeling that you feel when you are sitting there watching the dolphins and overlooking Lake Michigan with the Adler Planetarium in the background. That breathtaking view of the only thing that's holding you behind is a piece of glass. That's it. The overall experience of the Shed Aquarium was definitely mind-blowing for sure. And honestly, that was probably one of the best experiences that I had ever had. Obviously, we all know that I'm a fish out of water, so I am a huge beluga and dolphin fan. I sat there and could watch them for hours, honestly. One of the belugas kind of gave me a little bit of a scare because it was laying on its back down at the bottom of the ocean, and I was like, are you gonna move, sir? Because I don't need to witness a dead beluga today, because that's just gonna shatter my entire world at this point. But he did get up. He went to the top. He blew his blowhole. He got him some air. He came back down. He did his whatnots. He was fine. I don't necessarily know if belugas actually take naps, but that was interesting to watch for sure. There were a lot of kids, and I am not against kids at all. In fact, for those of y'all that have been joining me along this entire journey, know that one day here, hopefully soon, I will have my own two little monster running around. So realizing that the aquarium had things set up specifically for kids kind of made it worthwhile in a sense. And I'm not necessarily doing all of this for me. I mean, yes, I kind of am. But let's be honest, I'm also trying to find things to do around the city that I can take my kid to, that is going to not only encourage them, but brighten their life and sit over here and give you that spark of curiosity that we all had as kids whenever we found something that was intriguing. That's what I'm trying to do. And if I'm not going to go back, then I already know that they're not going to find it interesting, or they may, and we'll try it again. I'm not writing any of my experiences that I have done this month off just yet. I am putting the Shed Aquarium into the continue to go to pile, and as we move forward into the Museum of Contemporary Art. MCA was completely unexpected. I did not necessarily know what to think, how to feel, or what to I guess the word would be, I was taken by surprise. Let's just go with that one. Whenever somebody says contemporary art, okay, I'm thinking something that's not of the norm, something that is completely out of the box, something that is not digital. MCA was almost 85% digital art. From televisions to speakers to little bitty clips on repeat, and they called it art, and that was very disappointing in my book because that's not art. I mean, to somebody it may be, but to me it's not. If you're going to bring me contemporary art, I'm expecting abstract. I'm expecting something that is not necessarily classical, like, oh, I don't know, The Starry Night or Van Gogh or any of the other famous classical artists. I'm expecting something new, and digital was not it. Was way off of my radar. But yet, we still went, we still walked, we still saw, and we still obviously opened up our minds and our hearts to the possibility of, okay, maybe this is somebody's difference as far as what art is concerned. And who are we to sit over here and say what art actually is? Think about that for just a minute. The one piece that stuck out in my mind was the museum had Michael Jackson on a television screen in the back of the room. And in the front of the room, on the big screen, they had an entire kids' choir reading the transcript that he was saying. It was very interesting because I hadn't seen any video of Michael Jackson in a very long time. And in fact, he was one of my favorite artists growing up as a kid. And to walk into a room and see him there on the screen again, it brought back a simpler time in my mind. So, speaking of simpler times, let's move on to the very great unknown, also known as space. The Adler Planetarium, for somebody that's never been to a planetarium, the initial experience and the initial first impression of the Adler Planetarium was, okay, this is very museum-like. And there's nothing wrong with that. There was a fuck ton of things for kids to do. They were sitting over here running up and down the hallway, acting as if they were in space because they had their own little space station. Like, it was a cute little setup for kids under the age of like 6. What put me off in a very sour taste was the fact that in order for me to sit over here and enjoy the skyline and enjoy the stars, which is what I went there for, it was $15 for the show, and it wasn't even so much of an accuracy as far as that night's nightlife was concerned. It was some pre-recorded, pre-scripted shindig shit. And it was still $15. So, overall, would I go back? Yes, I would. Would I go and sit through the Skywatch live show again? Probably not. Just because I don't necessarily feel as though it's fair for a planetarium to sit over here and charge you as the consumer to see something that you can go and see on your own with a decent telescope outside. That was very shitty in my book. However, these particular segments of Chicago definitely give me ideas as far as what I get to do whenever I have my own running around the house. Where do we get to go so that he can experience life in a way that not most kids get to? Overall, living in Chicago has been the most amazing experience that I have ever had in my entire life. And I definitely feel like I'm at home here. From the bustling city sounds to the fact that if I really want to spend $45 on a pizza, I can get one of the best deep dishes in the city and I don't have to have it ordered or shipped or delivered. So, speaking about experiences, let's move on to O'Hare's Takeoff, Mom's Co-Pilot, and The Great Return. Or Flight, Drive, and The Big Move. Has anybody on my show ever flown, ever, for the first time? What was your initial reaction? What was your initial fear? So, mine, I was scared shitless for about a week. Couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. It was very nerve-wracking because I knew that in about 7 days I was going to be 35,000 feet above sea level in a tin can flying across some open field. And at any moment it could fall out of the sky just because of piss poor mechanics or shitty oversight or quality control just rushed their job or whatever the case may be. I felt as in a week I was going to lose my life and that was going to be it. And I struggled with this a lot the week before. However, my sister got here on Friday about 1 o'clock in the morning, technically Saturday morning. Obviously, with that, I did not get to go back to sleep until about 4. Where's my drink? I am dying here. So, Elizabeth gets here at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't go back to bed until 4. I leave Saturday afternoon to fly out of Chicago's O'Hare to fly into Atlanta to meet my mom and my other brother to get the rest of my stuff out of storage so that Mom and I can drive it back up Monday, Tuesday, whatever. So, Chicago's O'Hare was probably one of the easiest airports I had ever navigated a day in my life. Now, mind you, I had never been in an airport, ever. But Chicago O'Hare's airport was downright the easiest airport because I have 2 airports that I can compare it to. I have Chicago O'Hare's and obviously Atlanta Hartsfield. ATL's airport is a massive fucking cluster. Hate that airport. I don't know what it was, but nobody told me that whenever you get off of a plane, you have to go to baggage claim in order to get out of the airport. Baggage claim is your exit. Nobody told me this. I didn't have any bags because I took a carry-on. It was just a book bag. I had my book bag with me. But nobody told me the baggage claim was where you go to get the hell out of the airport. So I'm sitting over here walking around Hartsfield for 20 minutes trying to figure out where the fuck I need to go. And then this lady finally looks at me and she's like, "Are you trying to get out of the airport?" And I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "You need to go to baggage claim, sweetheart." I'm like, "But I don't have any bags." She's like, "I understand." She's like, "But baggage claim is the way you get out of the airport." She's like, "Otherwise you're going to be stuck in here." She was the best person that I had encountered that day by far because she was willing to notice that I needed assistance and I didn't ask her for help. She came up to me and said, "Hey, you look lost. You need to go here." Overall experience as far as the plane, the flight, the airports, all of that was concerned, Takeoff was rough. Was not expecting to go from 0 to 500 miles an hour in like 2 seconds flat. So being sucked into the back of the seat was not expected. Landing was uber smooth. Did not even know that we were on the ground. Had no clue. However, the Wi-Fi on Delta was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't send any of my messages. I couldn't scroll through social media. I literally sat in the air for like 2 hours with absolutely nothing to do because nothing wanted to work. Nothing. So, my next flight that I have planned in my head is I'm going to try one more airline. And the reason I'm trying this other airline isn't because I don't trust Delta, because obviously Delta is the only one that I've ever flown with, so I don't really have an experience as far as anybody else is concerned. However, I am going to try American Airlines. And the reason for this is because, for those of y'all that know, I work for AT&T. And coming January 2026, AT&T has officially partnered with American Airlines to offer in-flight Wi-Fi on all flights, domestic and international. I think it's just domestic. I'll have to double check. Don't quote me. But I know we're partnering with American Airlines to offer in-flight Wi-Fi. It's public knowledge. I'm not telling you any trade secrets. You can literally go to AT&T's newsroom and find it there. It's public knowledge. So the flight wasn't bad, honestly. But I am going to try American Airlines just to see which one I prefer more, and kind of go from there. So now that I've gotten to Atlanta, how the fuck do I get back home? Well, that's the drive back with Mom. After we got everything situated and got the U-Haul and got everything loaded up and got everything situated, we had lunch. Mom looked at me and she's like, hey, do you want to drive up? Sure. It's only 10 hours. It's not that big of a deal. It is what it is. We'll probably get in about 1 or 2 in the morning. It's fine. Well, Mom, being Mom, had alternative motives for wanting to go in the middle of the afternoon up to Chicago. She did not tell me that she wanted to drive about halfway, stop, grab a motel, sleep, and then figure out the rest of it the next day. It's not what she said. She said, hey, let's go to Chicago. Okay, I'm going home. Having Mom as the co-pilot driving up the road and being able to go through and see Memphis and Kentucky and Indiana with her was probably one of the greatest things that I had ever been able to do. Packing up all of my stuff and leaving the South, where I grew up, was probably one of the most freeing experiences that I had ever experienced as well, because I'm now to the point where I'm old enough, wise enough, and mature enough to handle this on my own without the need or the want or the feeling of having that comfortability and that familiar mindset around me. Now, there's nothing wrong with having your parents around you. There's nothing wrong with having your siblings or the places that you find comfortable. But sometimes in life, in order for us to grow, we have to break out of our comfort zone. And that's exactly what I've done. coming back to Chicago with mom in tow was an experience that I didn't necessarily think that I would get to experience at all. I had sat back and I had watched my sister move to Pennsylvania last year, and my sister was always the one that came down and saw mom. Mom never went up and saw her, which that's kind of left a very sour taste in my sister's mouth, but they'll work it out eventually. The only other thing, or the only other person that I would like to experience where I live, sooner rather than later, obviously, would be my grandmother, because I don't know how much time she's got left. So after we got everything unpacked and we dropped off the U-Haul and everything, and we took our naps, we got up and we started exploring the city of Chicago. We walked like 8 miles that day. It was horrible. My feet were killing me. Mom's feet were on fire. Elizabeth's knee was grinding. Like it was bad. And we did all of this in like 3 hours. It wasn't a very long, drawn out process at all. So we're walking through Macy's, and for those of y'all that have been to Chicago knows that Chicago has one of the biggest Macy's on the planet. And I'm sitting there and I'm paying attention, and I'm noticing that mom is just in her happy place. Like she's literally going back through like her early teens, early 20s years, looking at all the things and going through all the stuff, and just, it was very bittersweet in a sense as far as the entire experience was concerned, because my mom's mom wanted to take my sister to Macy's or Rich's so bad, and she's unfortunately not here anymore. So being able to take my sister to Macy's was something that I felt like I needed to do, because my grandmother wasn't here to do it for me. I don't think Elizabeth fully appreciated the experience as far as Macy's was concerned, but I did. And I know my mom did. And one day, when my sister gets a little older, we'll go back to Macy's, and she'll be able to appreciate the fact that this was something that my grandmother wanted to do, and now she'll be able to experience it the way that my grandmother wanted her to experience it, and see it through those rose-colored glasses. After everything was said and done, we moved to our last segment of the show. Well, maybe one more. And that segment would be our hugs, farewells, and forging your own way. So, Mom and Elizabeth left Tuesday morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning. Watching them drive off was probably one of the hardest things that I had ever had to do, because it solidified the fact that I really am alone here in this big ass city. That I don't have anybody to fall back on, that I can't just pick up the phone and be like, hey, yo, Mom, let's go to the mall. And this is the choice that I made. And I have to live with that. walking in to my house with the realization that this is my life and they're going back to theirs sucked. Like, let's just be real honest about it. It was horrible. Now, saying goodbye and realizing that well, let me say this. During the goodbyes and the see you laters and the we'll be back in a couple months type shindig, it also enlightened me that in life you have to make your own path. You have to. Because nothing in this world is ever owed to you. Now, Michael, what does that mean? Making your own path is living for yourself, not somebody else. Oh, but I need to stay here because I need to take care. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's an excuse because you're scared. Oh, but I need to go here because I need to do. No, you don't. It's an excuse because you are scared of the unknown. It is the excuse because you are scared of the uncomfortable. The uncomfortableness is what's scaring the shit out of you. And guess what? You're right. It's horrible. It's scary as fuck. But at the end of the day, you have to do it for you because nobody else is going to. Making your own path gives you independence. It ensures that you are responsible and gives you that sense of responsibility. And yes, the loneliness that comes with this understanding is unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I would much rather walk into my house in Chicago with the understanding that I did this on my own and I made my path the way that I wanted to, and I've set up my home the way that I want to, and be lonely with that, or have that sense of loneliness with that, because whenever I get to see them, the memories and the experiences that are there are worth every second. Life for me changed in a good way when I moved to Chicago. It was something that I needed to do. And unfortunately, I kept putting it off. I kept sitting over here saying, oh, well, I need to stay here because my grandmother's not getting any younger and plane tickets are expensive and this, that, and another. And I had this very false sense of reality. Because let me explain something. When things go the way that they are supposed to go, you will be surprised at how free the road ahead of you is and how wide open it can get. Let me explain what I mean by that, okay? You ever just sit over here and you ever just scroll through Delta or American Airlines or United or Spirit or Frontier's website and you realize how expensive fucking plane tickets are? You ever realize that? Okay. I flew from Chicago to Atlanta for $100. Granted, I booked my ticket like a month in advance, but I still only spent $100. No special apps, no special discount codes, no special nothing. I went directly to Delta's website, booked my plane, booked my flight for the times that I wanted, Nothing crazy. I left here at 4:30 in the afternoon. I got to Atlanta at 7:30. I got to my mom's house at 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish, whatever. Either way, I only spent $100 on my flight. Yes, granted, it was a one-way. But either way, if I would have done a round trip type situation, I'd have spent $200. Flights are not that expensive. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and living the path that you are supposed to be living. If you are not, that shit's gonna be expensive as fuck. Why? Because you're not where you're supposed to be. You're not on the path that you are supposed to be creating for yourself. Instead, you are doing something that is completely against the cosmic balance and you are defying the divine. Whatever that looks like. So, make your own path. Do the hard thing. Live the uncomfortable life. Make the enemies. It's okay, because at the end of the day, it is your life. And nothing in this world is ever going to be handed to you. You have to go out and take it for yourself. So, the shit show's moment of May. Okay? My May oops or aha moments. Every shit show needs one. This is the core regarding Mike's Editions moments. The most chaotic shit show for the month of May was navigating Atlanta's airport. After the navigation portion of it, getting in the car with my brother, driving back to my mom's house, that entire experience right there was a total shit show. And here's the reason why. Atlanta's airport is completely massive and very not consumer friendly. It's very wow. So trying to navigate that airport for the first time coming off of a plane was traumatic in and of itself. Now, do I feel as though once I do it multiple times, will I get better at it? Absolutely. Do I realize now that, okay, Atlanta has the electric fast train that gets you from terminal to terminal? Yes. Did I want to walk? Absolutely. So that was probably my first mistake. Getting in the car with my brother was a nightmare. Let's just say that child has a lead foot, and I don't know where he gets his driving from, but he scares the fuck out of me. So, looking forward, from May's legacies to June's horizons, everything that happened in the month of May has led me to where I need to be for the month of June. Making my own path, using that as a guided principle for me moving forward is exactly what I need for the month of June. Because for those of y'all that know, the month of June is obviously Pride Month. Duh. Or at least it is here in Chicago. And I have a fuck ton of things going on. Between Pride Committee meetings, to the actual parade, to the Hyde Park Farmers Market finally reopening, to actually going and seeing the Art Institute of Chicago because something keeps drawing me there. I have a lot going on in the month of June, and I'm glad that I was able to take the time that I needed to get my house set up so that I can enjoy what summer in Chicago is actually like. Now, as you guys know, you can always find this show on all of my social medias because you can obviously find the links there. You can always listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube Music. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this show, if you took something out of it, if you want to come back for more, make sure that you leave some sort of rating and obviously a comment. Now, here's my question to you. Okay? What big life lesson did you learn recently? And be sure to share your thoughts in the comment section below because I want to know. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me on this wild ride through May. And until next time, remember to explore your world. Hug your loved ones tight and always, always make your own damn path. This is Mike, signing off.